Calling The Last of Us 2 controversial is an understatement. This game got a tremendous amount of hate after and even before release due to huge leaks. But was it merited? I believe that it's best to look back after some time has passed. Now let me throw my hat in the hotly contested, very unstable, and perpetually on fire ring and try to answer the question, did The Last of Us 2 deserve all the hate? Let's start with the story. This game takes place 4 years after the end of the first. Joel and Ellie are still living in Tommy's dam in Wyoming, but their relationship is strained at the moment, which the audience doesn't exactly know why yet, but you can definitely guess. More recently, Joel beat up a guy who insulted Ellie while she was at a party and dancing with Dina, a new female character. After that, we meet another new character named Jesse, who is Dina's ex. But don't worry about that, there's no drama, he's cool. Dina and Ellie go out on patrol and find an old friend's weed farm. They find some movies, smoke a doobie, and eat some coochie. Then we cut away. Now we're playing as Abby, who is in Wyoming near the dam with some friends. They talk vaguely about what they're here for. They're looking for someone. Wonder who? Abby goes out alone, runs into some zombies, and quickly gets overwhelmed. That's when Joel and Tommy come to the rescue.
We're gonna have to run!
You fight off a horde and get the hell out of Dodge. The three of you return to the house with Abby's friends and the surprise party begins.
Y'all act like you heard of us or something.
Because they have.
Surprise! We return to Ellie, currently dealing with some post-nut depression. She has a heart-to-heart with Dina and reveals that she is immune to the infection, though Dina doesn't believe her at the moment. Then Jesse runs in, interrupting your pillow talk, and tells you that Joel's missing, so you head out to find him. The three of you split up, and you discover Abby and friends' hideout alone. But they find you and hold you down as you're forced to watch as Joel is beaten to death with a golf club.
Look, you got her. Okay?
You're gonna fucking die!
What's going on?
Let him go.
Who is that?
Let him
She
go!
snuck in.
Why aren't you posted up outside?
We didn't think anyone was gonna show up.
What the hell did you expect? We gotta get out of here before the whole town's on top of us. You're done.
You want what I want, right?
End it. Now.
Joel, get up. Joel, fucking get up. Please stop. Please don't shoot. Joel, please get up. No! Fucking kill you.
They were only here for Joel, so they let you and Tommy go. You're left to grieve and wonder what prompted the attack. Tommy's wife finds you later and lets you know Tommy is missing. Tommy noticed that the attackers had clothes that mentioned the Washington Liberation Front, or WLF, or Wolf for short. So you and Dina head off to Seattle looking for him, and attempt to join him on his revenge crusade. While not initially finding him, what you do find is a surprise.
Whatever.
I still have
Surprise! After getting captured, you find one of the crew Abby ran with. You kill him and find out where another of them might be. You set your sights on the TV station and head off. On your path there, you find evidence of some cult-like faction in Seattle. When you arrive at the station, you see that the cult is warring with Abby's group, the Wolves. They have hung dismembered bodies from the ceilings and written markings in their blood. Fun. But you do find that the target you came here for is already dead. But she does have pics of all the others in the crew that attacked Jackson, which is handy so you can now make a hit scrapbook or a corkboard with pins and threads. Though you can't quite get started just yet because another wolf team shows up. You end up booking it out of there with a lot of them hot on your trail. The chase leads underground to a subway system, which is obviously a sort of breeding ground for the infected, indicated by the sewers surrounding the two. In the escape, Ellie breaks her gas mask, protecting her. Dina, concerned for Ellie's safety, attempts to share her mask, but Ellie reveals that she's immune. You have to get the fuck out of the tunnel before you can discuss. You stumble upon a theater and make it your safe house. Inside, you try to hash out the immunity bomb that dropped when Dina drops a bomb of her own.
I think I'm pregnant.
Surprise! After that bombshell, you think it's best to get some sleep. Here we get a flashback to better times. A younger Ellie is celebrating her birthday with Joel. They go to a museum with dinosaurs and space stuff, both things Ellie is fond of. It's fun, but a bitter pill to swallow as you know what's in store for these two later. You wake up and find Dina fiddling with the radio. She's tapped into the wolf communication and collecting info on them. She even found another lead on where Tommy might be, so she's not completely useless with that baby in her. Though she's not able to come with you, so you head out alone. You fight your way through Seattle to a place called Hillcrest, where Tommy has been wreaking havoc, and there are an abundant number of wolves here in a panic. While Tommy isn't here, there is someone of significance you find. Joel.
What the hell are you doing here?
You think I'd let you do this on your own?
I mean, Jesse.
I think I'd let you do this on your own.
Jesse joins your escapade, and the first thing you two do is uncharted your way out of Hillcrest and make your way back to the theater.
Damn it!
Another flashback to the before Abby times leads to a dual boss fight where Joel boxes a bloater. Immediately preceded by him digging a deeper hole by lying again.
Why did you pull me out of there while I was still unconscious?
Because I let them run their tests. And when I saw that they were useless, I got us out of there.
How do you know they were useless? Maybe if you just would have given them more time, they could have figured something out.
There was no cure.
All men do is lie. Returning to the present, and Dina has another lead on Abby, or a lead on how to get a lead on Abby. Nora, another of the wolves who went to Jackson, is at a hospital and you're hoping she knows where Abby is. Not wanting to wait, Ellie jumps at the opportunity before Jesse is even able to tag along. While on your way there, you encounter the other Seattle faction, the so-called Scars. They impale you with an arrow and give you a taste of your own medicine. This group uses whistles to communicate to each other, so you can't tell what they're thinking in combat, though you can actually decipher their whistles, which is pretty cool. All we know about them for now is that they're warring with the wolves, but we'll learn more later. When you get to the hospital, you slaughter a platoon's worth of wolves. Luckily, they're at the perfect place to get help. You find Nora, question her about Abby's location, and she runs in fear, but you eventually corner her and beat her with the pipe to get the answers you want out of her. Ellie goes back to the theater, a bit shaken after her first enhanced interrogation session, but trust me, it's easier on this side than the other. She shares with the others that Abby is hiding out in an aquarium on the coast. After you get some rest, you flash back to the BA times. And in this one, you see Ellie going to the hospital that Joe quote-unquote saved her from years ago. She finds out what really happened that fateful day and is broken up about it. This is the event that had splintered their relationship so much. You wake up and talk to Jesse about your next steps. He figured out that Dina is pregnant and wants to find Tommy and return to Jackson for her safety. Ellie sees the sense in that and agrees to it. but with no active lead on Tommy's whereabouts, you decide to go to the aquarium in hopes he has the same info. En route, you overhear that the wolves are having trouble with the sniper. Thinking it's Tommy, Jesse wants to head there, but Ellie isn't willing to give up her hunt for Abby. So you two part ways for now. Ellie steals a boat and rides the waves to the aquarium. You don't find Abby, but a dog finds you, and you have to old Yeller the bitch. After Ellie cosplays as a certain Atlanta Falcons quarterback, she walks in on Owen and Mel, two more of the Jackson crew. You interrogate them on Abby's location. They say mama ain't raised no snitch and try to fight back against Ellie, though a sudden lead-based tummy ache and still-induced strep throat put a stop to that. But oh no, Mel was preggers, and Ellie gets all catatonic at what just happened. But on the bright side, abortion is legal in Washington, so that fetus won't go on her record. Tommy and Jesse find Ellie, and they head back to the theater. Ellie comes to terms with the fact that returning to Jackson is the best play, even if it means Abby gets to live. But then...
Shit. Jesse, stand up. Hands in the air, I shoot this one too.
Abby? Ain't this about a bitch? I've been looking all over for you. We cut to another flashback, but this time, we're playing as Abby. She's making her way through a park looking for her dad. She helps her dad free a zebra trapped in barbed wire, and Owen comes to tell them he's needed for an urgent matter. Here, we find out that Abby's dad is the brain surgeon that was supposed to operate on Ellie all those years ago. She goes through the hospital after Joel's temper tantrum and finds her dad dead, making this the event that spurred Abby and friends on their quest for vengeance. We then go back to day one in Seattle, but from Abby's perspective. She wakes up in a stadium where the Wolf base is. The last of the Jackson crew, Manny, wakes you up and tells you that the Wolf leader, Isaac, needs to speak with you. So you head out in the truck with Manny, Mel, and Old Yeller to go meet with him. Once you get to the FOB where Isaac is, Nora stops you for a quick word. She shows you the body of a wolf named Danny, who was allegedly killed by Owen. Abby, refusing to believe it, wants to talk to Owen, but Nora tells her to keep quiet on the matter. Manny and Abby go talk to Isaac, who's planning a big invasion on the Scars to put an end to the war. He wants to attack their main island with the cover of a storm's approach on day 3, and he wants Abby and Manny to lead the squad. Though Abby, not able to leave well enough alone, asks about Owen. Isaac confirms that Danny was killed by Owen. Still wanting to give him a chance to defend himself, Abby sneaks off to the aquarium where she knows he is. Then we flash back to the before Abby times with Abby, who's with Owen at the aquarium. Here we find out that the two used to date, but we see that Abby's obsession with Joel is causing a rift between them. Back in the present, you get kidnapped by Scars on your way to the aquarium. They drag you to the secret sharing circle where they secretly share secrets. You take the sharing podium, but before they can give you the sharing stick, they find the spy hiding and listening in on the secrets. So of course, she needs to be punished. They bring the band hammer down on her left arm, but before they can get the other one, an arrow flies into their face and chest, giving the spy the chance to use the band hammer to ban them from the server of life. The leader of the secret sharing circle starts to shoot at the attacker. With her attention away from you, you take the opportunity to wrap your legs around her neck and choke her, allowing the spy to take the final blow, revealing your secret to be a fondness for betrayal. The archer catches up with you two and cuts you down from the podium. A swarm of infected comes at your group shortly after. The three of you team up to survive the onslaught. You fight through a horde, 1v1 She-Hulk, and survive one round on Kino de Choking. You eventually find a safe spot to rest and go your separate ways. Abby finally gets to the aquarium and meets up with Owen, where he confirms the rumor and you get to hear his side of the story.
We were cleaning out a small camp. It's just a couple scars and hit this one on the head. hard. And he goes down, and his weapon's right there. And he doesn't go for it. Instead, he turns to me. And he's old and tired. He was just ready. I've killed a lot of scars. And, fucking guy. I couldn't do it. Of course, Danny gets in my fucking face about it. I told him I'm done. He can do it himself if he wants. And he points his fucking gun at me. So I grab it, and then... First, I didn't even know which one of us was shot.
Owen now needs a new place to call home, so he wants to chase a rumored Firefly regrouping effort in Santa Barbara. Abby thinks that's a stupid idea, so Owen mocks her by repeating what she once said to him. They start arguing, and Owen tears into her for her obsession with Joel and how she went about ending it. This causes them to get physical, which then leads to them getting physical. After their no pan stands, Abby has a nightmare about her new friends. Worrying about them, she decides to help them out. She eliminates a squad of scars hunting them and goes to reunite with the duo, Lev and Yara. Yara, the older of the two, isn't doing too well with the battered arm and all, so Abby brings the two back to the aquarium, where funnily enough, Owen's doctor girlfriend is also there. Mel takes a look at Yara's arm and says it needs to be amputated, but without the proper medical supplies, there's nothing she can do. So you and Lev trek out to the Wolf Run Hospital to steal the things necessary. On your trip there, you run into several Scars groups, true named Seraphites, one of which reveals a small hint on why they are hunting Lev and Yara. Lev's real name is Lily, so she's a girl who was in a crazy cult. You can probably tell how that will result. The two of you get to the hospital, but Abby thinks it's best if she enters alone. After lying to get in, the Wolf guards find out that she's wanted for going AWOL. She gets restrained and locked away, but here comes Nora to the rescue. Nora sets you free and you venture forth into the pits of the hospital, a place no man has gone since the dawn of the apocalypse. With hospitals being ground zero of the outbreak, you are destined to find something interesting. Here you fight the Rat King, a weird tank-like amalgamation of several different infected. You manage to put the damn thing down, get the supplies, and leave the hospital, heading back to the aquarium. The surgery is successful and Yara gets some much needed rest. The next morning, Mel talks to you about Santa Barbara. Owen invited her along with Yara and Lev, but she doesn't want to go if Abby is as well. Blah blah blah, you die today. Yara was also having a screaming match with Lev, coming to you afterwards. Apparently Lev wants to go to the island full of crazy cultists that want them dead, to get their mom, a devout member of said cult. Not the greatest idea, but Lev's sticking to it and steals a boat to do just that. You and Yara decide to try to save him before he gets himself killed. Now down a boat, you try to steal one from your former canine associates. You go to a marina in Wolf territory, so Yara stays behind. Before you could touch down on the marina, Manny tackles you to the ground right before a sniper shot hits you. You bob and weave through cover and fight through infected to make your way to the sniper. You eventually corner him, and as you're about to get the drop on him...
Screw it.
Oh, hi, Tommy. You do manage to get close to him, though, and with the help of Yara, you push him into the ocean. You manage to steal a boat and make your way to the island. All the Scars are frantically preparing for the upcoming battle. You and Yara find Lev crying over the body of their mother, who he accidentally kills after pushing her because she wanted to kill him. Who would have thought? You tell him to stop being a bitch and let's get the fuck out of here. While trying to escape, Yara runs into a wolf soldier. He shoots Yara in the gut before Abby can put him down. The gunshot attracts more wolves led by Isaac. Wanting to deal with Abby and her ludicrous behavior later, Isaac tells the bitch to move and get out of the way. She refuses, so Isaac takes aim at Abby. But before he can pull the trigger, Yara fires first, killing him. The other wolves quickly put her down, but it gives Abby and Lev a chance to escape. Lev's shaken up about seeing his sister and mom dying on the same night, but if you want to be a man, you have to suck it up and never cry. Now fully against the wolves, Abby has to kill her former comrades to get the hell off this island. You successfully make it off the island and back to the aquarium where you find Owen, Mel, and Old Yeller, all dead, though you do find a map with a clearly marked hideout on it. This is where we catch up to the other story. Tommy tackles Abby and tries to wrestle the gun away, but ends up with a bullet in the back of his head. Ellie runs into the theater and you go off to fight her alone. There's a boss fight between the two in which Abby comes out on top. Dina comes in to help and just ends up with a knife to her throat. Ellie announces that Dina is pregnant, but that's not stopping Abby. Luckily, Lev is there to talk her down. She lets you all live again and leaves with Lev. We then fast forward about 1 or 2 years and Dina and Ellie have settled down on a farm with Dina's baby, Jesse Jr. Everything is serene, peaceful, and perfect. Oh, never mind, Ellie has PTSD flashbacks of Joel's death. Good news is, Tommy's still alive, but he is missing an eye. He's on the outs with his wife, but that's not why he's here. He comes by with info on Abby's whereabouts. She's in Santa Barbara as she planned before. Ellie's hesitant, but Dina's quick to answer. She denies his request and scolds him for bringing that shit to her home. But after a guilt trip from Tommy and a sleepless night, she reconsiders and packs her things. Dina finds her and attempts to bring her back to bed. She lets her know that if she goes after Abby, she's leaving for good. Now determined, that doesn't stop Ellie from walking out the door. Now we switch over to Abby's perspective in Santa Barbara. Her and Lev are hunting down that Firefly lead. You find a radio in the basement and successfully contact the Fireflies. They give her a location to meet up at and the two head there. But you get as far as a step out of the house when you get ambushed by some raider group. We switch back over to Ellie who found Abby's boat. She explores Santa Barbara until she gets caught in a trap and gets injured. She blacks out due to blood loss but comes to when she's approached by 2 of the raiders who nabbed Abby and Lev. You get out of the trap and kill the 2, but not before they tell you where they took Abby. You get to the location, kill a bunch of raiders, free their captives and find Abby posted up. She's slimmed down since you last saw her, probably due to her diet of fuck all. You free her and she recognizes you. Neither of you know what to do about it, but Abby eventually goes to free Lev. Ellie, meanwhile, is trying to decide if she should kill her or not. She finally decides, sure, fuck it, I came all this way, and challenges her to a duel. Abby refuses, trying to just get out with Lev, but Ellie threatens Lev to get her to fight. Seeing no way out of this, Abby squares up and prepares to throw some malnourished hands. You fight for a bit, Abby gets her corona on, but it's Ellie who's victorious this time. She chokes Abby as she holds her underwater, but after thinking about Joel, she relents. Ellie lets Abby go on her way and heads back home. Ellie returns to find Dina gone, and we end the game with Ellie abandoning the farm. Gameplay wise, this game is extraordinary. The gunplay feels great, but it's the movement that's really been enhanced. You can dodge, go prone, and even dive. Going prone adds a lot to the stealth as you're able to take a new approach to the terrain, letting you crawl under things. This also allows enemies to knock you on your ass when they hit you. The tools added to the game are also great. A suppressor for your pistol and ammo for your weapons, normal and explosive arrows for the bow, rounds for a hunting pistol, and incendiary ammo for your shotgun. While Ellie is more stealth oriented, being able to place trap, use stuns or smokes, craft arrows, and be able to just have faster stealth kills, Abby is geared to be more aggressive. She can craft ammo for loud weapons, throwable pipe bomb, and she has access to a flamethrower. Her rifle is also semi-automatic instead of bolt action like Ellie's. On top of that, she has a momentum perk that lets her one-shot melee an enemy after stun meleeing another, with those beefcakes she calls arms. The sequel also gives melee combat more depth, allowing you to dodge enemy attacks before dishing out your own damage. It's also amazingly brutal with how the bodies react to your violence. All in all, gameplay is outstanding.
I'm not trying to.
I was supposed to die in that hospital. My life would have fucking mattered. But you took that from me.
It's time to talk about the story, and I have zero issues with it up until Abby's day 1. I went into this 90% certain Joel would die, and during Abby's first cutscene, I figured she was there to kill Joel. What I didn't think is they'd kill him in the first hour, but still, that's not a decision I'm upset about. Everything is fine up until Abby. I like how Ellie is shaken up after torturing Nora and killing a pregnant Mel because it shows that she's not used to this and it fits into the theme of the game, which we'll get into later. Now the problem when Abby enters is the pacing. You cut off the climax of the story with a whole different 8-hour story that barely intersects, and then afterwards you go, oh yeah, I guess I'll finish that other story. It's genuinely perplexing that they went about it this way. The only real reason I can think of as to why they do this is to surprise the player that they're playing as Abby, but that's not good enough. To top it off, the game completely resets progression with the switch. All the points spent on perks, all the gear spent on weapon upgrades, do it all over again. Now, is there anything else I have a problem with in Abby's portion? Yes, simply put, it's boring. Considering the fact that they interrupt the climax of a story I was interested in, I'm just thinking about getting back to that. I could not finish this game because all throughout Abby's portion I was just thinking about how does any of this relate to the other story. Which brings me to my next point, Abby's story has nothing to do with Ellie. You would think a story that splits into 2 parts would tie into each other and wrap things up in a neat little bow at the end, where actions characters take influence the other in some way, shape, or form, but not in this case. The tie-ins here are really more just references. Remember when you heard Tommy was sniping at the wolves? Well, Abby was there. There's no influence other than Abby went here, so Ellie goes there. You also don't have any revelations about Ellie's story besides why Abby killed Joel, but that was explained in the first 10 minutes and doesn't justify an 8-hour detour. The 2 stories share nothing except the theme, but 1, the theme is the B plot in Abby's story, and B, this isn't an anthology, it's 2 halves of a whole story, and these halves don't fit together. Abby's story isn't interesting in its own right. She doesn't even feel like the main character at times. She's the bodyguard for the main character, Lev. It's kind of the same dynamic of Joel and Ellie in the first game, except not as interesting. We never really focused on her disillusionment with being a wolf up until her confrontation with Isaac at the end of the game. I dropped the game in the middle of Abby Day 2. I lost motivation after I realized I was hours away from the ending. I played that far because I was only interested in finding out the result of the climax. Nothing in Abby's story intrigued me, and even in Lev's story I wasn't grabbed at all. Being robbed of an ending is probably the most damaging thing they could have done for player retention. The first game goes for the simple story, complex characters thing. I can't really say that either Yara or Lev are complex characters. They don't go deeper than, I want to protect my sibling, which is similar to Henry in the first game, but he was only in the game for a couple of hours. These 2 are here for almost the entirety of Abby's story. The ending is the most controversial part of this game. To fight Ellie as Abby and then vice versa makes it seem like some WWE revenge match. But that's not where my main problem lies. It's that it has the same result. Going all the way and not killing Abby, it feels to me like I wasted my time. Now I know what it means overall to the story, but I still don't like it. I think a lot of people misinterpreted what the theme of the game is. The theme of the game is not violence is bad, or revenge is bad, or anything along those lines. The theme of The Last of Us 2 is sung to you repeatedly in the game.
If I ever were to lose you, I'd surely lose myself.
Losing oneself because of the grief and the decisions you make because of it. Ellie lost Joel, so she went on a murderous rampage to get revenge. Abby lost her dad and became obsessed with finding his killer. Even in the last game, Joel was about to lose Ellie and slaughtered an entire hospital to stop it. The game explores what grief does to people and what actions it can make them take. The game attempts to get the player to think more about the violence they cause beyond the torture scenes. When you kill any human enemy NPCs, there's a chance one of their allies will yell their name.
Charlotte!
It's not much, but it's probably the most they can do without ruining the pace and even more making Ellie look like a monster by killing people just trying to get by and survive. But instead, some asshole militant faction, some crazy cultists, and some torturous slavers. The game isn't trying to shame you for killing these people like many other people thought, just to get you to think more about the violence you're causing. This is the same thing I think The Last of Us showrunner was getting at with his Pixels dying quote. He was more talking about the NPCs you kill without a second thought as opposed to the actual characters. The ones that are treated as more of an obstacle than anything else. That's just what I believe, that he explained his point poorly, but I could be wrong. Another example of this point is the Ellie Day 2 wolf deserters. It's a small detail that players could miss or not pick up on. You find a letter that talks about a group of 4 wolves that went AWOL. You get their description and see that the wolves want them dead or alive. Not too long after, you find 4 survivors hiding out in the hotel that matches their descriptions. They have some small dialogue about not going back, but that note, as well as one written by one of them, really gives more context. This is a great way of getting the players to think, but not really put her in that moral gray area because they ambush and attack her first. Now Abby fits into the theme as well, just not for as long. Her dad being the doctor that Joel kills gives her the grief, torturing and killing Joel is the action she took because of it, and her relationship suffered as a result. Abby's obsession with Joel ruined her relationship with Owen. While we don't know how close they were before, her method of killing Joel destroyed her relationship with Mel. The problem is that this is the B story. The A story is about Lev and Yara. I think the reason behind Lev and Yara is to show that Abby is a good person, to show that she is more than a violent act that defined her to all the players, to try to make a character that can claw their way from being hated to being held in a higher regard. But Lev and Yara are lacking in character depth and uninteresting, so they don't help much. Now we return to Ellie. The point of not killing Abby is to show that Ellie still has some humanity left. She can recover from the depths of depravity that she went down. But like I said, to have a rematch end in the same result feels like a waste of time. The whole Santa Barbara arc was a waste of time. I think I would feel differently if the story before this was better, but as is, it just rubs salt in the fresh wound. The Last of Us 2 is like the brick joke of storytelling, which isn't as effective. If you don't know, a brick joke is one with a very delayed punchline, except instead of a delayed punchline, we get a delayed climax and more frustration than humor. I don't know why Naughty Dog didn't switch between Ellie and Abby's story at the end of their respective days. This would have probably helped the pacing a lot. This game mostly fails at the execution of its ideas. The ideas themselves aren't bad. Like switching perspective to the villain can be amazing if done correctly. The villain has to be understood from their motivations to their actions. The player should feel that the character was either sorta in the right or had a point. Abby at least falls into this category. The villain should be intriguing, of course. They are essentially becoming another protagonist, and you don't want the player eager to go back to the other one. This, they fail at. Kinda. Abby is intriguing, I think. She's not the focus, so that's hard to gauge. The theater boss fight between the two would have also been much better. If Abby was likable and in the right, I feel there would be a dramatically different reaction. Right now, Abby is unliked, and whether she was right or not depends on who you ask, but unless they're a hypocrite, Ellie should also be held in the same regard because they are both motivated by the same thing. If instead Abby was well liked and was seen on the moral high ground compared to Ellie, this will spark a similar discussion to the ending of the first game. Because Abby could never pass Ellie in terms of likability, so putting her in the right would make their fight more intriguing, at least to me. The theme only falls apart when it comes to Abby. Everything else is good, even when it comes to the ending. Theme-wise, it's great. The very end of the game where Ellie comes to an empty home, having to still face the consequences of her action, even though she ultimately made the right decision, is fantastic. I would have loved it if I didn't hate almost everything surrounding it. The best way to end this game, in my opinion, was to finish it at the theater. Everything remains unchanged until the end of the boss fight, where we switch back to Ellie's perspective. Ellie wins the fight, but before she can deal the killing blow, Lev arrives. She subdues him and returns her sights to Abby. This time, Ellie is stopped by herself. Lev and Abby remind her of Joel and herself, in the sense that it's two people trying to protect each other. And with that on her mind, she comes to a realization. Revenge is cyclical. If she kills Abby now, what's to stop Lev or any other wolf who she doesn't know are all dead from coming after her and continuing the cycle? She could kill Lev and tie up one loose end, but one, he hasn't done anything to her outside of ending Tommy's adventuring days, and two, is a child. Up to this point, we've seen that Ellie isn't cut out for this life, and not even a few hours ago killed a pregnant lady. But that was an accident, so can she purposely end the child's life? I don't think so. From there, we go to the forum epilogue and keep the PTSD and Tommy stuff, but Ellie doesn't pursue Abby this time. The Last of Us 2 tries to do what BioShock did with meta storytelling, where BioShock attacks the games at the time that just have a guy over a speaker tell a silent protagonist exactly what to do, giving the protagonist no agency whatsoever. The Last of Us 2 tries to give a story to the obstacle NPCs, to get the player to rethink most of the games in the genre. They succeed in this, but their failure in other places overshadows their success. And a lot of players choose to sit in the shadows rather than take a step back and look at the game as a whole.